Good morning. I'm David Padgett. I've been at Tennessee State University for 18 years. We're one of 102 historically black colleges and universities, and we have about 6,800 undergraduate students. About 95% of them are African American. Last check, the average household income of our students is about $30,000 per year, and so that's our population. We, as many other HBCUs, do not have a formal atmospheric science or geoscience program. Someone asked me just a few minutes ago, do you have a program at TSU in atmospheric science? And I probably would have answered, le programme, c'est moi. You know, I am the program. And that's the case at many HBCUs except for maybe Howard University and Jackson State, maybe North Carolina A&T. So this effort is primarily aimed at pre-service teachers. Tennessee State University produces more teachers than any other HBCU, and about 65% of the students that take my geography classes are pre-service teachers. And so for years, I've been certifying teachers or pre-service teachers in the globe atmosphere protocols. Is everybody here familiar with GLOBE? Yes? No? Okay, in a nutshell, GLOBE stands for Global Learning and Observations to Benefit the Environment. It's, in a nutshell, a federally funded program, primarily funded by NASA. The primary objective is to improve science teaching at the K through 12 level by providing teachers with classroom content for hands-on learning. And so it's primarily my role as a GLOBE trainer is to train in-service teachers. But there's a significant opportunity at Tennessee State University and other HBCUs to train and certify pre-service teachers so that when they graduate, they leave with the GLOBE certification and hopefully can take that into their classrooms. So GLOBE is a global program. Students here in the United States can be connected to students all over the world. So for instance, students here at a school in Louisville, Kentucky can collect atmosphere data and then find a school at a similar latitude in the southern hemisphere and look at the differences. Not exactly, well, I think we might be getting up to real time now, but it really expands students' horizons, especially students from underrepresented groups. You know I have students who have never been out of Nashville. I'm sure that you're at other institutes of higher education, especially HBCUs. You have students who've never been anywhere, even thought about going anywhere. But this really gets them from an early age looking at students. Hey, there are students in South Africa doing the same thing that you're doing, and you can actually connect with them virtually. Beginning in 2016, I got some resources through the GLOBE Mission Earth program. It's a NASA-funded project with many partners to really significantly enhance the efforts to expose pre-service teachers, not just pre-service teachers, but all of my students to atmospheric science and geoscience. And so under the grant, my mission was to develop course content and curriculum that will get my pre-service teachers certified as they take the World Regional Geography course, which they're required to take. All pre-service teachers are required to take my course. And so I developed a series of assignments. One of them was a term paper. They have to learn as much about GLOBE as they can, and I'll talk more about some of the other things that they're doing. The GLOBE program provides exercises that are really specific to pre-service teacher interest that will guide them along in how to use the GLOBE website and how to upload data. They collect, in this case, surface temperatures, and one of the areas of emphasis in my program is urban heat islands. And so when we start to talk about the global warming phenomenon and climate change phenomenon, I like polar bears. We all like polar bears. Not a whole lot of polar bears in East Nashville or Orange Mound, Memphis, or Black Bottom, Detroit, or South Side Chicago. And so the students might think, well, what is this? They even ask them, what does global warming have to do with me? I'm not worried about a polar bear. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm not worried about sea level rise. I mean, if we have sea level rise in Louisville, it's going to get really, really bad. But when we start talking about urban heat islands, and I ask my students, how many of you all know someone who has asthma? If they're African American, almost every last one of them raised their hand. And so then that gets their attention. And they start to think, oh, well, this urban heat island thing can affect my health, can affect my grandmother's health. Well, yes. And that really draws them in. My mother taught for 40 years in Baltimore, Maryland, and she said, before I can teach you anything, I have to get your attention first. And so that gets their attention. Okay, this global warming thing has something to do with me too. And so we start collecting surface temperature data, and they start to see how different surfaces react to incoming solar radiation. Then they say, oh, okay, now I kind of see how this happens. And even my other students who are not pre-service teachers, engineering majors, learn that, hey, a lot of these solutions to climate change and global warming are engineering solutions. If we're trying to create greener cities, those are engineering solutions. If we're trying to provide water in places that are experiencing drought where there's little electricity, that's an engineering solution. So a lot of my engineering students who take my class, just an elective, this isn't thermodynamics, why am I taking this class? They start to see, oh, wow, maybe I should expand my horizons a little bit. Now, one of the, innovations that we do is what's called near-peer learning. And so normally when my students, or when anybody is certified in the GLOBE protocols, they usually are trained by someone like me. There are no students around. But eventually, when these pre-service teachers get into the classroom, they're going to have to deal with live students. And so we partner with several high schools in Nashville, and this is one of them, Stratford High School. You can see the demographics, 68% African American, 100% of the students have free and reduced lunch. And so when my students go to Stratford, it's a really strong near-peer learning experience. Stratford High School, very few of those students go to college. Very few of those students even know college students. When my students walk through the halls of Stratford, you can just hear the kids whispering, there's TSU students here, there's TSU students. So you guys are rock stars when you go to Stratford High School. And unfortunately, even in Nashville, a place that you would not think would have this problem, there are students at Stratford High School who are trying to make decisions. Am I going to be a gangster disciple? Am I going to be a Pyru blood? Am I going to be a Crip? Am I going to be GD? Whatever. We have a gang problem in Nashville because that's who they see. They don't see my students who biology major at Tennessee State University, and so some of these students might say, hey, here's Ronnie, he's at Tennessee State University, he's a college student, and he's all right. Maybe I can be that instead of being out here banging. We say, if you're going to come wear some colors, instead of wearing red for Pyru or blue for Crip, come wear blue and white for TSU. If you're going to bang, come bang out a 4.0 GPA at TSU, if you're going to bang something. And so we see a lot of these students who have wound up at Tennessee State University, not totally because of us, but and now with social media, they can actually keep in touch with my students. Let me get on your whatever, Snapchat or whatever's out there, and they can continue to communicate. My non-pre-service teachers and pre-service teachers coordinate. They work together in groups, and so they take the GLOBE data and create GIS maps. And what I eventually want to push them to do towards is taking my, there's some of the students out there, time is running. We are also involved in the NASA Meteorological program. I want to get to the AMS stuff since I am at the AMS conference. I also teach an upper division weather and climate course. And so we want the pre-service teachers, after they become GLOBE certified, to move on to weather and climate class so they can really learn more and more about weather and climate and hands-on. And so so that's where the AMS materials come in. So I've been part of the AMS Weather and Climate Diversities project since 2004. And so they provide excellent materials for the weather and climate course, which includes live weather. I'm not sure if most of you all are already familiar with this. It's in the data stream portal. And so it really grabs the students when we can actually look at, what's happening in Detroit right now, what's happening in Memphis right now, or what's happening in Atlanta or Birmingham, or wherever. We get students from all over the country, and when they can actually learn how to read weather maps and do this in a live format and not something that's in a book, so to speak, although there are textbooks, it really grabs them. And then we get involved with citizen science applications and exercises. And then ideally what we hope to have happen is this. Rodney Donaldson, who was one of my students, he was certified as a pre-service teacher, is now our Globe teacher at Stratford High School. So he's not only a role model for my pre-service teachers, he's also a role model for my students, all of my students as well. And so it's really helpful to have someone at our partner schools. But I don't have to explain what Globe is. I don't have to explain what GIS is. He just says, Dr. Padgett, when are y'all going to show up at the school? And bam, we're out there working with the students. Of course, both the Globe and AMS programs require training. So the AMS Diversity Project, I believe there's some people here from that program that were trained in DC last summer. I actually went to some of the posters. It's an excellent program. Can't thank Dr. Jim Bray enough and his staff and everyone else who's here from AMS for providing that outlet and opportunity for HBCU faculty. And one good thing about the AMS program is it doesn't matter what the faculty member is teaching. It really doesn't matter. We even had people be teaching art who were at the AMS diversity training and went back and doing great things, I think with STEAM, I think they call it. So I think this will be online. Here's some links to some resources. Of course, the Globe program, AMS education program, and GIS stuff I can talk to you about later if you have any questions about GIS. And so, thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you, Dave.